everyone, welcome to General Topics. I'm Clax, filling in for Zane on the intro this week. On this episode, Zane is joined by me, Kevin, who is making his first appearance, and the return of Ben. It's a fun conversation, so stick around. General Topics starts now.
There's your warning. I think Texas might be a two-party state, so now you know you're recording. With that said, I want to throw it over to Ben to introduce himself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ben. You may know me as the morning host for ABC's Good Morning America. Great to be with you today.
Thanks, Ben. With that said, Kevin.
Shoot.
All right. That's Kevin. We call him Donk, too, to reference to Don Quixote. If you haven't read the book, Kevin goes through a lot of mental struggles in his real life, and so it's a perfect nickname for him. So I'll refer to him as Kevin and Donk sort of interchangeably, so that's who that is. And if you don't know Tilting at Windmills, I recommend reading Cervantes. It's a fantastic book. Anything you want to add, Kevin?
No, that sounds about good. Yeah, I do tilt at a lot of windmills. I make a lot of issues I like to fight for, whether they're real or not.
Understood. And last but certainly not least, actually, he's the sort of MVP of this entire thing. He edits the podcast for us. He puts them out there. That's Clax. Let the people know what you got going on.
I'm here. I am here. Strangely enough, after talking with the people on this call on a probably a daily basis for the last 5+ years, speaking to them for the first time in person. It's a big deal for me.
We've all known each other for, 10 to 15 years. I think Kevin and I go back the furthest. And be right at 15 years. I think Ben and I have been friends for about 10, and like Clax said, it's been about 5 for us.
Zane and I were definitely at one point in the same room 20 years ago. That is a certifiable fact, which is The Leaf, rest in peace, a tobacco and cigar shop in Abilene, Texas, where both of us attended, I wouldn't say higher education, but college anyways.
Wait, it didn't close, did it? It just got sold.
For the sake of a happy ending, let's say no, it didn't close, but it definitely moved from the one cool kind of area within Abilene at the time, which was downtown right next to the Grace Museum and the Paramount Theater.
Yeah, which the Paramount Theater was fantastic. Showed a bunch of old movies and stuff. But yeah, I worked there for a couple of years and just had a great time doing it. But yeah, I think it just ended up getting sold. So that's fun. With that said, I'm kind of gonna open it up. For me, with streaming, I've got two sort of trains of thought, right? One is television and one is movies. I think streaming for movies is a fantastic idea. For the movies you don't want to go spend $50 on, you're at the theater, you're buying popcorn, you're buying sodas, the kids want candy all the time. And that's like $100 trip. Just me and Amy's about 50. And so it's just something that is untenable, I think, long term. And I think we'll probably see a lot of smaller theaters like Shudder eventually. Because I think everybody at this point now, I was one of the last hold-ons to cable. But since I moved to Fort Collins, I don't have cable and I don't miss it one day. But so with television, let's start with TV. Back in the day, like before TiVo even, you had 4 or 5 shows maybe you watched with like your parents or your siblings, that it was on Tuesday at 7 o'clock, and your ass was parked in front of the television Tuesday at 7 o'clock and you're watching that show, right? Whether it was, Survivor or, whatever was on TV at the time. And then, of course, in the summertime, you watched 4 consecutive reruns of SportsCenter in the morning, or at least I did. Now, I love watching television whenever I want to, right? And like sort of on my schedule and not having to worry about going to a certain channel. It's just, I've got like 10 apps or something, and I just pick the one that the show's on after Googling what the hell it's on. And it's really simple and easy, and I much prefer that than traditional television.
Zane, can I interject? I'm curious about this. You said 10 apps. Can you name all 10 apps that you have for streaming services?
Hulu, Apple Plus, Amazon, Max. The other ones I've got Netflix. Hang on, I'm just pulling up my thing. Peacock, Showtime, Stars. How many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Disney, 6. ESPN, 7. Hulu, 8. Peacock, 9. Paramount Plus, that's 10.
Okay, so I think we doubled back on Hulu and
Well, I was estimating, man.
Peacock.
Okay, fuck off.
No. I'm just saying because I think that outside of Showtime and I think the other one was Showtime and Stars, which I think I had one of those for the Twin Peaks Return and then canceled it. I think we've got all of those too, and that costs plus we have DirecTV digital or whatever, so that's like an $80 fee. So it's like paid at one point in time like $120 for cable, and now like I'm paying God knows how much for things that ultimately will lead me back most nights to just putting on a rerun of The Simpsons or Bob's Burgers. Just a waste of money. Just a horrific waste of money.
I know 2 or 3 of my apps, like let's say Stars and Paramount and even Showtime, which I didn't know we even had. I'm sure there was a show on I wanted to watch or something and just got the app, and I don't use those ever. Like Paramount Plus, someone was like, hey, you got to watch, what's that Western show with Kevin Costner?
Yellowstone.
So I started the first couple episodes of that, and then I was like, done. I don't want to watch this show anymore. But I never canceled Paramount, which I've never gone back to. Kevin, what you got?
I mean, I couldn't even begin to tell you how many I have. I mean, I'm probably a dozen, at least all the ones. Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN. I probably have those both individually and the bundle. I don't remember which ones I
do have
together.
both. I know that for a fact.
Yeah, I'm doubling up on multiple of those because of bundles. Yeah.
Clax, what about you? You got the 5 or 6 basic ones?
So we're not doing that. It's always been kind of tricky in our households. When you first mentioned this topic and wanting to discuss it the other day, it got me to thinking about our household's history with streaming. I don't want to say I was kind of at the forefront of it, really. We made a conscious decision to start switching over to a more streaming-based way of getting our entertainment back in like 2014 or something, maybe even 2013, when it was still the really earlier version of
that was like
Apple,
basic shit. Yeah,
I didn't even think that the internet was around back then. That's amazing.
It's been around for a bit. I mean, normal.
Clax has a few years on us, so
it was one of those, and that was also kind of in the period where, if you're around a certain age, especially with all the technology explosion that we had there for a good 10 or 15 year period, where there was always something new coming out, whether it was phones or computers, advancements in products. This was kind of that period where it was the jumping off point really for streaming, building up to where we're at now. So initially, at that point, I think we still had we had some version of cable in the house to begin with. I think we had like AT&T related cable.
Yep.
But reading about the Apple TV box was interesting to me, to the point of, let's get one and try this out and see what this thing can do. And so, like I said, this was the earlier version where it didn't have any onboard storage. It didn't have an app store. Basically, you got the apps that were loaded on it, and that was it. Zane, I think you had that one for the
I have both the boxes, yeah.
I've still got a couple of them, and they work fine. But some of the apps don't work on there anymore because they're not supported because they're older versions. But basically, when you got it with Netflix. You got a suite of Apple-related apps that you could log into with your account, so you can get to your music, you can get to the iTunes Music Store, you can get to the iTunes Movie Store and download movies and TV shows to the cloud, and a few other apps like that. So we started with that. Eventually got to the point where we kind of realized, we're spending all this money on cable every month and we're not watching it consistently. We'll turn it on for something in the background. But a lot of times, if there was a show we wanted to watch, we weren't necessarily watching it live. We were recording it to the TiVo and watching it whenever we could and taking advantage of being able to skip through the commercials to watch it. And it was at that point we realized that, if there's 4 or 5 shows that we really want to watch. And I remember in particular was Better Call Saul, because it was around the time that show started up that we made the move to, instead of paying $100+ a month for cable that we're not using, we can take this Apple TV box, we can go into the iTunes store, we can purchase the season of Better Call Saul for $20, $25. And each week when a new episode drops on Sunday night, it's going to drop into our iTunes account Monday morning. We can go on, we can watch it. There's no commercials. We're paying $20 flat for the show that we want to see. And we can watch it anytime we want. And if we want to go back and watch it 6 months from now, we go to the app, we watch it then and there. And we've got it as long as the show's still in the store and you're able to, buy it or rent it. So that's where we kind of started making the move. And then since then, the platforms have evolved to where now with the boxes, you've got the app stores in there. So you can download all the different channel apps, you can download games, all that kind of stuff. And that's essentially what we've been going on for a good 10 years at this point without paying for cable. Yeah, we got a lot of apps that we pay for, and in reality, if you add them all together, I think we're still making out better than we would if we were paying for a cable subscription, but we're still getting what we want to see. And we don't feel like we're missing out on anything. But I will also add in that we are one of those people who know folks that password share, and we take advantage of it. And that's a nice benefit to have.
You are stealing from some sad corporate executives, and I hope you feel bad about that. You brought up something that was really interesting to me because Zane, you put the conversation around 3 shows, none of which I'm watching. So these 3 shows are The Pit on HBO Max, White Lotus Season 3 on Max, and then Paradise, which is on Hulu. I will have nothing to contribute to that conversation, but I was curious because, Clax, you kind of mentioned shows that you want to watch. So with all of this proliferation in different places of media or whatever, how do y'all find actual things to watch? Because I kind of find myself in a paralytic type feeling of do I watch another murder mystery on Netflix? Do I watch another cult thing on Hulu? Obviously documentaries, it's me and my wife, so she has the TV, but network dramas or whatever, because unless The Penguin, which I really like, Batman, I don't really know what I'm thinking about watching unless I've kind of already previously seen it. Maybe that's just getting old, but I'm curious to hear about that from y'all.
That is interesting. So I'm a big proponent of using because you watch this, we recommend watching this, and I'll stay with like The Pit, for example. The Pit is a show that I know Clax is on. I think Kevin is on it too. It's basically a modern version of ER. And Noah Wiley, who was in ER along with Clooney, is the director of the emergency room at the Pit, which is like a Pittsburgh General Hospital.
Yeah, the other twist is it's a little mix of like with 24. So the whole season is like one day. Each episode is 1 hour. So you don't have to get that season long character arc stuff that you'll find in ER. You get like who they are is who they are.
And honestly, watching that show, if it's anything like that, and I know if you're from like the DFW area, we've got a similar hospital called JPS, which is where if you get into an accident or you don't have insurance or something, do that hospital. And I've been there before. My brother got into a really bad car accident in high school, and I happened to be in town, and they took him there because he was unconscious when they found him in the wreck. And it's a place that you don't want to be in. I think I saw somebody roll in with a knife sticking out of their abdomen. And then after watching this show, by hour 2, I'm no longer going to be a doctor. Like, I can't handle that for 8 or 12 hours at a time. There's no chance. But it's a really good show.
So it's JPS for the Fort Worth region. It's Parkland for the Dallas region. Yeah.
Where I was born, boys.
Oh, man. I'm glad that your socioeconomic, I guess, life has gone on the up and up.
My parents were dirt fucking poor when I was born. As are most parents. You don't know how much a kid costs until you have a kid, and then you're like, holy shit.
Still waiting on that experience. But Clax, what about you? How are you finding things to watch? And does streaming make it harder, especially not with like commercials, like watching football on Fox that does a good job of making me want to watch at one point The Masked Singer. So kind of curious without any cable, kind of what that looks like.
For me, for our household, and my wife is probably the more predominant television watcher than anyone else. A lot of it I think really comes from word of mouth more than anything else, from friends, coworkers, family members who may be watching other shows or other movies. Like I said, my wife watches probably the majority of television and movies in this house, at least. So she's got a lot of those contacts out there giving her that information. Plus, like Zane said, kind of really just going with the algorithm. You're in an app, it's picking up what you're watching. It's throwing you suggestions of old shows that they've already had or new ones that are coming out. The ability to be able to, almost like going to a movie when you see the movie preview before the actual movie, and you're like, okay, that's something I might want to see. Nah, I don't want to see that. And then you got the movie. You've got that, the trailers on these apps for these shows that can give you a quick, 2, 3, 4 minute synopsis of here's what the show's about, and you get an idea of how it looks, who the actors are, maybe a little bit of the story. An idea, is it funny, is it an action thing, is it dramatic, is it a mix of all those things? So you've got the ability to, the algorithm will throw that up to you, you check it out, and you're like, I'll give it a shot, and go from there. So it's kind of a mix really of things of what kind of steers us towards what we end up consuming entertainment wise.
100%. Kevin and Ben, are you guys fully cut from cable?
Yeah, 100.
Yep.
In terms of like the actual physical cable, yes. Like I said, I still do DirecTV, but we just get it through the app. So it's just another, like Clax was saying, another app that's on our Apple TV. So all 3 of our TVs are hooked up to an Apple TV, and that's just kind of how we stream everything now.
That's kind of the slippery slope you start getting into when you talk about cutting the cable or cutting the cord. Yeah, you can get to the point where you don't have a physical cable box in your house that's connected to an outside cable that's connected to utilities. But as Ben's saying, you've still got the option of kind of being tethered to cable without being on cable through that app. So, we've had that DirecTV app before. We've actually got access to it now through a family member who has shared their password with us. And essentially, it's still the cable experience, but it's with your own box.
Kevin, what about you? Are you fully cut from cable, or do you have cable as well?
The only thing I have that's close to cable is the AT&T internet box that feeds everything else.
Got it.
But yeah, I said I don't have. I mean, that was kind of one of the reasons I never really went back to DirecTV, even when they kind of came out with that AT&T cable offering. Like, once I moved to streaming, and got everything on my phone, I could be out and about and just pull up Fox or pull up TNT and watch whatever I wanted, not even at home. And that was a real benefit to me. And nowadays, back to how you find something to watch. I mean, I'll just basically pull up the premier streaming services that I have, and I'll just go to Netflix and think, okay, what's new? Head to their top 10 movies, top 10 shows. Just kind of scramble through those and see what I like, or see if a second season came out that I wasn't aware of. And then I'll just skip to the next one. I'll go to Hulu. I'll go to Disney. Just one by one until I find something new that I can watch.
That's how I found The Gorge, actually. It was just recommended, and I said, I think I remember this movie, and just hit play and watched it.
On Apple TV, I'll usually start there because pretty much everything they have is pretty premier.
Oh yeah, and then Ben, to round back on my streaming services, I do have one for television. I watch the news in the morning, like CNBC and just the local Fox channel here for weather and shit like that. So I got YouTube TV, and it's also a great thing when the boys are eating dinner too. We'll just throw on HGTV or Food Network or whatever is on, and just watch that for an hour or so.
That essentially goes back to the same thing of, even though you don't have cable, you've still got cable because it's a channel lineup with commercial channels on it.
It's cable. I'm doing air quotes here. If this is just audio, cable just received in a different medium or whatever. But Zane, you said something, and not I wanted to make a point just to bring it up, but you talked about, so you've brought it up a couple times, so clearly it left a huge impression on your life moving forward. But the cinematic masterpiece, The Gorge, that you talked about. So talking about how it was it's a trailer, it was okay, I don't have anything to do. I think that one of the cons of kind of the overall streaming service experience that we have, and probably all millennials have said this at some point in time, is the loss of getting to go to a physical brick and mortar to find that same borderline shitty movie that you would have picked at a Blockbuster, and kind of having the human interaction of it all, the planning of getting out, buying big Twizzlers, buying a thing of popcorn, getting back, you know what I mean? And it's that was kind of a night versus, I think we kind of did the same thing a few months ago with the movie Abigail, which is a vampire movie we'd never heard of. It was on Peacock.
Yeah, not familiar.
It was fun. It was a little girl vampire kind of haunted house sort of thing that was, again, not something I would ever have gone to the theater, but definitely something that we would have picked up. But just the kind of how your nights and weekends would revolve around kind of this thing where, I'm either going to go to the movies physically, or I'm going to go to Blockbuster. I'm going to look around. I'm going to maybe see some people from my neighborhood. I'm going to look at all these different things. Maybe I have some friends over. We're going to grab the movie. We're going to go home, do that. And by that time it's 10 o'clock versus the 90-minute or hour and a half movie where, okay, now it's 7:30, now it's 8. What do we do now? Kind of thing. It's almost this is kind of taken us and further cemented us in our homes. And I kind of think that's a horrible thing, but maybe y'all like the convenience of it. I don't know. But that's just, The Gorge kind of reminded me of a movie that would have had maybe a better second life in a Blockbuster, like an Austin Powers or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's super true. I think we should have, and I want to talk about movies more later. We're kind of already getting into it, but I think that all the dollar theaters that we have open still, I think those should turn into like you can rent out the theater for like you and your family and friends or who just yourself or whatever for a couple $100, and you can like have just a shit ton of movies to pick from, and you can watch a movie while you're there. Like one that like it could be an older movie, could be a new release, which you'd probably just go to the actual theater anyway. But you can rent it out and just like have the time of your life. Get like 10 buckets of popcorn, a few ices.
But you can do that. You can do that now.
Oh, but it probably costs more than a few $100. I mean,
What
the
am I
big
seeing
theater
here?
here,
$500.
yeah, 100 seats, $15 a pop now. Which I mean, that's $1,500. They're not gonna. Well, they don't get much of that revenue anyway. It's all from the concession. So
I know. I've seen some other options of it, but I know it was. I know they were pushing it a little bit during COVID because the theaters were shut down. But then, as you could kind of start getting back out a little bit and still keeping your distance, I know there was at least one chain around here who was offering that up around the holidays.
Was it Alamo?
No, it wasn't Alamo. I can't even remember which one it was. I don't know if it was a Cinemark or what it was, but essentially it was, around the holidays, you could rent out the theater and they had a selection of holiday movies you could pick from. And, for a flat fee, you could have up to however many people come in. You had the theater yourself. You picked the movie that you wanted to see. That was it. Because my wife's family actually did that, I think, on Christmas Eve. Like, had to have been 2020. I don't think it was 2021. I think they did it 2020.
That's pretty cool. I like that idea. And to round back to TV, I've got two things to tell you. One, I really can't do slow burns anymore. You mentioned Better Call Saul earlier, Clax. I'm a huge Breaking Bad stan. I think that's a top 3 show for everyone who's seen it. I feel like it's like The Wire,
Sopranos,
and then Breaking Bad are like pretty much on Mount Rushmore. I think the
Game of Thrones would have been there, but they just couldn't stick the landing. But Breaking Bad finished. Game of Thrones couldn't stick the landing, but Breaking Bad finished.
The first 6 seasons of that is incredible viewing, and I had no background on it, and I loved it. So yeah, I hate slow burns. And then one thing about TV I wanted to talk about was the weekly release of streaming TV shows versus dropping all your episodes at once, right? So The Pit is a show that I think Kevin said he's on, and I know Clax is on it. That I just want all of them. I want to watch them, like watching Better Call Saul for me as a slow burn, having to watch it weekly. I know it's time to like process what's going on and all the things like that, but it was too slow for me to actually enjoy it. And I think I finished the whole series, but I could have not watched the last season, and I'll never care to go back to it if I didn't. It was one of those shows. And then secondly, I lost my train of thought. Oh, so when they release all the shows at once, that's also a problem for me because I like to at least get a sense of how people are reacting to it. Like The Pit, for example. And I'm watching Paradise on Hulu. And so I heard, really good things about both. And so you try to go online and look up the synopsis and stuff like that, but inevitably you're going to log on to Twitter or Blue Sky and you're going to see someone spoil something for you. Walter White died in Breaking Bad and you're like, what the fuck? I'm not even there yet, So it's just one of those things where it's hard to avoid, and I wish there was a way around that. But in today's world, sports, it's impossible.
Yeah.
What do you guys prefer on average?
I think it really depends on what it is, right? Something like The Pit, that's one where, it drops every Thursday, like a traditional network show still does and would have done in the past. But I think it's one of those that as you're watching it for the first time and experiencing it, I think it's one of those shows, and I'm sure, and there's a lot of other shows like that where you kind of want to be able to sit and be able to react to it emotionally rather than just having the ability to go straight into the next one. Is it a slow burn? No, I think it moves kind of quick. Just that show in particular, it still moves pretty quick. It has from the outset, but it's one of those that after we've sat there and watched it, I'm not ready to jump into the next one because it's one of those shows that's made me run a few different emotions at any given time during that, 45 minutes or an hour. I'm not ready to just go into the next one right after that.
Kevin, I know that you basically after every week you comment on how emotional the show is, especially for the three of us here who have kids. And it's a tough watch, man.
Yeah, watching parents go through, sick or injured kids.
The worst day of their lives.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I watch something that's like fully released, like a Netflix show, like I'll still take a time like between episodes and like read the recap or read some opinions or something and just make sure I fully, comprehend everything that happened before I just kind of move on and kind of forget some of those details. It's really helped me kind of understand a little bit more of the plot and characters without just, running through and then forgetting everything. So I really like slowing down and doing that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it does take time to process, and you don't want to watch, a kid get sick or somebody die on a show like that, and then immediately jump into the next thing, and it's a different emotional tug at your heart. It does get to be too much. I'll agree with that for sure.
Yeah, I think in principle, I like just weekly. Again, just based off of what you guys are saying, kind of the part of it is the slow burn. Part of it is just digesting. Part of it is, again, kind of going back, just having a either, the next Monday or like a Sunday night prestige HBO drama. Just having hey, we are at 8:00 going to sit down and do this. That's kind of I know maybe it's just because I'm a very boring person of hey, this is kind of a nice thing to do. But also, and this is probably more pre-remote work, or remote work is the norm, kind of the water cooler, just office hangout kind of just camaraderie that even a shared or borderline shared experience kind of has with people that you're interacting with on a day-to-day basis. I mean, when I was working for the Rangers, which was not a work from home job 10 years ago, I made friends because we all started talking about Game of Thrones, and that kind of led to other relationships, just in terms of, we weren't talking about Game of Thrones, we were just talking about how people's lives were or whatever. I think with streaming, you don't really meet the moment or the content that then you can go out, at where it is. It kind of meets you where you are. So, I mean, Stranger Things, the first season that came out, my wife and I watched the first 2 episodes on a Wednesday night. I had a business dinner the next night. She was already on episode 6 because she was oh, I'm bored. So it's even in family, it's yeah, I just wanted to watch it. It was right there. We just decided to just go. So I had to catch up with it and kind of just hear from her. Because I was I'm not going to rewatch this again. So I think as it's kind of executed, I like the weekly piece just because of the processing, because of the potential community. But again, I think that this kind of the binge watching kind of puts us into even more of a smaller little human container where we're even afraid to interact on social media for fear of spoilers, if that's something that we're really interested in. So maybe it's a larger psychological issue, but
we all have a Discord that we are in together, and we have been for a few years now. Well, we had one for a longer time in an internet site before Discord, I think, even existed, where we do have the ability.
Zane, real quick, we should call that LSB Plus, just like all the
LSB
other.
Plus. Yeah. This is called Zane's Wild World Plus. I like that idea, but no. So we do have a way for us who are watching the same shows at the same-ish time to discuss things, and we've got spoiler text and things. So if someone's behind or is about to jump in, we're not going to spoil anything, but we kind of react to certain items in shows, and I think that's really cool. At least we have one safe place we know about where we can just talk about whatever when it comes to television shows. So I do want to jump into movies in a little bit, but kind of rounding back to like just what's up, what's going on in life. This is maybe just for Kevin and Clax. I'm not sure, Ben, if you're a soccer guy, but I am taking the boys to a Colorado Rapids soccer game tomorrow. It'll be mine and their first time to go see professional soccer at any level.
That's FC Dallas game, right?
I believe that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
I'm not sure what shirt to get, either FC Dallas or the Rapids.
Yeah, maybe one of each. And hey, if you take them to another Nuggets game, at least you have no qualms with getting a Nuggets jersey as opposed to wearing a Mavs.
Yeah, no shit. The Lakers were actually in town with Luka like 2 weeks ago, which would have been really fun to go to, but I didn't know about it. And by the time I realized it was about to tip anyway. So, and NBA tickets. We need to talk about NBA tickets. Those are expensive as fuck. And you get 41 home games.
Well, the Mavericks might be cheaper now.
Probably.
Yeah.
That resale market probably just for the pickings.
I heard that the secondary market value of the Mavs tickets has gone down 78% since the Luka trade. So not like that's hurting the bottom line of the Adelsons, which anything to hurt their bottom line even before the Luka trade would have been nice. But yeah, that's a rough one, pal. That's a really rough one.
Unless I'm mistaken, I don't know how much Cuban is actually involved anymore. But for the longest time, the Mavericks had the most consecutive sellouts of any NBA team. But he would also buy whatever ticket was outstanding when it tipped. I wonder if he's still doing that or not. I would doubt it, personally.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he had like a program. Maybe it was philanthropic, but I know there was a program at one point where he was like giving it to like school districts and stuff like that. But I have no idea. But I guess with regards to Cuban, very, very, very tired of his social media posting, kind of armchair quarterbacking that whole situation or anything else, because it's like, dude, whether it be talking about basketball or talking about your political ideologies, you're the person that sold it to Trump's biggest, and I think we're all probably not on the Trump train, you're the person that sold it to one of Trump's largest North American donors. So let's kind of like sit that one back on armchair quarterbacking anything in terms of, talks about the Mavericks or about just the state of politics in general. But I don't know. Maybe that's a tangent for another time.
Yeah, this is a politic-free zone for sure.
I'm sorry.
I mean, we're on the same side except for Kevin. He's got his fucking MAGA hat on probably right now. He's too pussy to go on video because of it. But yeah, we all.
Terrible, baby.
Hey man, that's just who you are. It's fine. It was your upbringing. I get it.
West
No,
Texas.
Yeah,
West
West
Texas.
Whatever the hell you said. Agreed. But no, I do only like the Adelsons if they bring legalized gambling to Texas, which seems like a long shot, but I don't think they buy the Mavericks without some sort of plan. And maybe it's going around the state and somehow getting like the feds to approve it or something. I don't know how that all works. I'm not up to date politically.
I'm curious about that. So you live in Colorado, but
Yep.
you would be a fan of them bringing gambling to Texas.
Yeah.
Kind of talk about that.
I mean, I love gambling, and I have to go to Texas like once or twice a year, so it'd be fun.
Okay.
You can do a casino. I mean, I'm just, I'm going to Vegas in a few weeks with Amy. I just really enjoy it. So, we've got it here. It's up in Wyoming too, which is like a 45-minute drive. There's one about an hour south of Denver. It's like a whole like mini strip of like 5 or 6 casinos, I think. And it's not the like the WinStar or the Choctaw where it's, you got to ante to play blackjack and, there's no drinks or anything. These are legitimate places that are just casinos. There's no reservations or anything. So I think it's just cool. I mean, I think the more gambling, the better. I know people always worry about the clientele and people that kind of hang around casinos and stuff, but I mean, there's a lot of places that homeless people just hang out in, or unhoused people, I guess is the
There we go.
PC term
There
now.
we go. Unhoused. Yeah, I'm a little bit reticent of the gambling component coming into Texas, just as someone that lives in DFW. It kind of would be cool as maybe, hey, we can go to, I think they'll probably end up turning Choctaw Field, which is the old Rangers ballpark, into at least some kind of sizable casino, which is why they made that investment.
Yep.
I am a little bit scared, not necessarily because of like some seedy characters outside of a casino. Like obviously I wouldn't live near one, but it's just the whole vibe and element of it. But maybe that's just my growing up Church of Christ self talking. That
Ben is our resident Mormon. He's our resident Mormon here who hates anything fun.
Yeah, that's a good point. My Church of Christ Mormon upbringing. As I drink my fourth caffeinated drink of the afternoon. So
I'm on to happy hour, boys.
There you go. Speaking of happy hour,
I'm on my second beer on the 12th hole.
That a boy, Kevin.
There you go. We'll have 2 to 3 more for me. I'll let you guys keep on going. But guys, it was a pleasure to talk. Flax, great to actually see you in person. And so you are as overwhelming as I thought you would be. So I appreciate that. Otherwise, y'all have a good one.
Peace.
Finally, a little breathing room.
There you go. How you hitting today?
I've hit a lot better, but I've hit worse.
That's understandable. You should come play in Fort Collins.
I'm all by myself today, and it's moving a little too fast, to be honest.
We've got 2 courses here that are gettable, and you can play an entire round without losing a golf ball. There's like one of the courses has like water left on one hole, and that's it. The other course just has trees but no water, so it's perfect. I know, Clax, you got into the game recently. How are you enjoying golfing?
It's kind of been a love-hate relationship, I guess. About what I expected.
Golf is like that.
I hadn't played for a good 15 years or so, and that's after playing a lot when I was a kid, because my granddad and dad were pretty decent players, and they kind of got me into it at a fairly young age. Never had any lessons or anything, so I didn't learn to that extent. It was basically all more self-taught, maybe some tips here and there from my dad or my granddad. Just getting out there and playing with them, and played, probably from age 7 or 8 until my mid-20s, and then just kind of stepped away for whatever reason. And then my nephew on my wife's side had just gotten into golf about 1.5 years ago, and the bug bit him really hard, to the point where he hadn't taken lessons or anything, but he was taking every opportunity he could to go play during the week if he got off work early, or play around on Saturday and turn around and play around on Sunday, just because he enjoyed it so much. And I think finally having someone who I knew that was kind of going through the whole learning process of trying to pick up the game, that kind of presented me an opportunity of, well, maybe I should get back into it, because I'll have a partner to go out with that I know that we're both, probably at the somewhat similar level of ability to play. We can kind of just both get into it together.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So that's been great. So we've played quite a bit. I haven't played in a few months, but yeah, I started playing again with some regularity back in July. I think I probably played 7 or 8 rounds at least since then. Saw some improvement, lost that improvement. So, it's just like, that's why I say it's a kind of a love-hate relationship with it, because it's just kind of 1 step forward, 2 steps back. But, the weather's nice, get out for 4 or 5 hours, drink a couple beers, hang out, listen to a little music. It's a fun afternoon.
You said it was your cousin, right?
My nephew.
He's got fucking tree trunks for legs, dude. He sent a picture of him and his backswing, I think. And that dude is built.
That dude, he has taken up golf, and he has taken up working out quite a bit.
You can definitely tell.
And when you do that at age 24,
Shit clicks, man.
you're gonna see some returns on that for sure.
What's that testosterone like?
Yeah.
Yeah, get those T levels up.
No shit.
Yeah, so I've been taking formal lessons for about a month. I haven't had like real lessons in forever, not since I was probably in high school playing and for school. And there's been some great shots on the course, but like I said, I'm in the middle of changing my swing, so a lot of inconsistency still trying to fight through. But sometimes these shots look really nice. So like I said, it's just more about making that new swing more, more consistent. But it's early signs are really good.
That's awesome. I know you've got a little bit of a handicap, not the traditional global handicap index, but you broke your elbow years ago, so you can't do the full rotation.
We've made some good adjustments for it, but I still have if you watch me on the video, it's still a pretty normal swing other than just that a little bit of elbow tilt.
Well, you're pretty flexible too, so I imagine you can get your hips all the way back and through, which is, that's half the game right there.
Yeah, like I just piped a 250 drive right down the middle.
Not a boy. Well, I think, and you're a simulator guy, right, Clax? You do a lot of simulators.
Again, have only been doing that just because of my nephew.
Got it.
Because we did find a place locally that he had wanted to try. The one time we went, he liked the experience so much, and it was a half off deal, that he was able to, it made him decide that then and there, there's I want a membership. Because he could get a deal on it initially, try it for a couple months at a lower price, and if he liked it, keep up with it. He's kept up with it since then. Now, I'm sure as the weather gets nicer and we're able to get out more, probably put that on the back burner and, get out and play some actual golf. But yeah, it's definitely interesting to be able to go and, sometimes because it's a simulator that's got like a bar and food and everything, and there's games that you can play on the TrackMan simulator. Sometimes you see people going in that are just there because... Yeah,
I played Craig Ranch a few weeks ago. Impossible.
Yeah, but they're going in and they're treating it like it's a Top Golf outing or something, where it's like, oh, we'll go have some drinks and we'll play golf and just hang out. But then you see the other people in there who are going in and they may be playing a virtual round of golf, but then they're also working on dialing in their game.
We've got a league here in our indoor simulator. Like there's a league that goes on, so like every Tuesday or Thursday, they're competing against people like across Colorado or America. I don't really know.
Yeah, but, and he's been in league play as well with a buddy of his that goes up there. So it's pretty cool.
Those guys
pricey, but it's fun.
So speaking of simulator golf, kind of what you're going back to, Flax, there, like, it's a lot like Top Golf where you just go and kind of have a good time. And that's one thing I really like about the TGL League is you get to see the best players in the world, like, actually enjoy playing golf. They're not in their super serious 70 hole, like every stroke matters. They're just, they're having fun. And I love seeing the good players, like, just play golf and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Doesn't take 4 minutes to hit a fucking 2-foot putt.
Yeah. Yeah, the shot clock out there is really nice. Keep them moving.
Yeah, you got to clock.
I've heard some things about the TGL, about the TrackMan that they use. It's not a TrackMan. It's something that Tiger Woods is invested in.
Yeah, I've heard it's not exactly as accurate as the players really like. So they're
the TrackMan uses like LiDAR and stuff like that, things that I don't fully understand. And whatever he's using isn't nearly as good at picking up things. And like one time he picked up that divot. Remember that? And so somebody's shot went like 15 yards, but it was the divot. And then Tiger Woods hit a 100-yard wedge, 130 yards. And Tiger Woods has never done that in his life. That was
there was a club selection issue there.
No, not that one. A different one.
The other one, yeah.
Fourth, like a approach shot, and he had 100 out, and he hit it 133, I think.
That club selection one was hilarious, though. That's high quality entertainment.
Which is funny because if you actually watch golf on TV, whenever the caddies give a yardage to the players, they only say the last two numbers.
Yeah.
It's over 100 yards. They'll only say 99, which is what someone told him. But on the course, if his caddy said 99, he would know it's 199. So it's just
I think because that, like in the simulator, like you don't have that same depth perception you would normally have out there.
right. No, but golf is the most frustrating game, I think. Imagine hitting like a up and in 96 mile an hour fastball. That would probably be a strike, and you got to hit a ball. And then in golf, the ball just sits on the ground, doesn't even move. You have typically the same, swing thought, or at least close enough to a swing shape that should hit the ball every time fairly consistently. But even the pros, hit the ball in the ocean and in the trees and stuff. So it's just one of those things where they can't do it every time. I certainly can't do it every time. I used to get mad at myself and frustrated, but now it's like, oh well, let's go recover and make bogey.
As an amateur, one thing you don't realize is how dialed in and unforgiving their clubs are. They're designed to be as accurate as possible. So it doesn't take a whole lot to go off. Like if they play with the forgiving clubs that most of us would use, they'd be dialing in incredible shots. But they need such higher accuracy for, the PGA Tour level courses that they're on.
And Rory made a comment that got picked up by a mic the other day. He said, oh yeah, they're making us use retail golf balls for this.
At TGL?
Yeah, so like the Pro V1s they hit and the Pro V1Xs and the TaylorMade, T5s, they're not using those on the golf course. They're using specialized golf balls, which I didn't know about. We can't buy them though, which is wild.
Interesting.
But anyway, that's all I have today on my rundown. I'm not sure if you guys have anything else you want to bring up or talk about, but I've sort of said my piece.
Well, you're the ringleader, so I guess I'm done too.
Well, you don't have.
Did we solve anything?
No.
Did we solve the streaming conundrum?
Oh, I didn't. I realized we actually had a problem.
Give me the chance to binge when I want to. Drop them all at the same time, and I'll go at my own pace.
Okay.
It is at least dependent on service. So like if it's Netflix, like it's all one drop. If it's HBO, it's one a week. So at least you kind of get the idea of which streaming service you're on, of what you're getting.
Yeah, and Kevin, I think you mentioned that your wife had, or maybe it was Ben. It was Ben who mentioned that his wife watched like 4 episodes without him. I've definitely done that before, hidden it from Amy, and then just watched the same like 2 or 3 episodes that I watched without her.
Guilty as charged. Yep, same thing here.
And you don't say a damn word. And you act surprised when you're supposed to act surprised.
You just watch it again.
Yep. Sometimes it helps me remember what's going on. Like,
Amy wanted to watch that too? Great. Let's put it on.
Amy wants to watch The Pit, and I told her I'll start it over with her because I like it so much, and I'll probably pick up on things that I didn't realize before. So
she bailed on The Pit. She's like, this is too much anxiety. I can't do this after 1 episode. We're like, okay, great. So I was like, okay, I'll just keep going on my own. I watched the next 3. And she sees me watching. Like, oh, I thought we were watching this. It's like, you said you were out. Like, no. Like, now I'm not going back for that because you said, and that's what it is.
Yeah, you said.
You can catch up.
But yeah, I think we solved nothing. We accomplished nothing. I think we just call it a day for now.
All right, sounds good, boys. See you later.
All right, have a good weekend.
You too.